I'm going to hand over to Peter. So today's session is all about incremental refresh with Peter. Thank you. And I'll stop sharing.
Okay, I start with sharing. Good afternoon, good evening, and thank you all for giving me the opportunity to present to your user group about incremental refresh. First, a little introduction. I'm Peter van der Bos. I live in the Netherlands. I'm a freelancer with a decade of experience in the BI world. I start with business objects and SAS, but I think in 2016 I saw a presentation about Power BI, and yeah, I can say I fall in love with it. I saw not only a great visualization tool, but also a great ETL tool. And I've worked for a few companies, multinationals, but also smaller companies. And my main focus is optimize data models of semantic models these days and DAX queries. And I also provide trainings and presentation. But this presentation is for me very special. It's the first one in English, so I'm excited, but also a little bit nervous. If you have questions, please save them for the end or post them in the chat. Enough about me. Let's start with incremental refresh. I show you some slides and then I show you the demo. Yeah, why you need incremental refresh? I come by some companies and they have a big data model and they refresh every table in the data model. And sometimes that is no problem, but in the most cases, there's a lot of data in your data model and with a lot of years. And if you can ask yourself, is it necessary to refresh the whole table, or want you only refresh the last period? Well, that is what you need for your reports. So if you think we need only the last period, then you need incremental refresh. And how you set up, I can show you that. First, you need, I must do the next slide. Yeah, first you need in Power Query, need a new parameter. You need 2 parameters. I show you that. If you go to Power Query, you go to the ribbon and you see there managed parameters. You go to new parameter and this window is shared. So the name of the parameter is range start, and it is mQuery, dus it is case sensitive. Dus be careful, the R and the S are always capital. And you fill that on the right way in. It's a reserved name, dus if you write it wrong, it don't work. Dus be careful with that. Then the type, and that is date time. The increment refresh have always need the type for date time. Dus if you have only a column with date, you must always change that to date time. Dus remember that. If you don't do that, the parameters don't work in your filtering options. The suggested values is any value. That's gewoon the default. Dus that stay on this way. Then the current value. And you can fill every date what you want in. But it's not necessary to write the right date, want it is overwritten if you published the PBX file to the cloud. And it's only for your data model. And you need a second parameter, and that name is range end, also with a capital R and an E. Dus be careful with that. The values are the same, only the current value is later than your start date. You can also use the same date, but then you have no data in your data model. So that is not very wise. I think it's also another benefit, and that is if I create a data model or I deployment some things, it's not necessary to have a great data model. If I have 2 or 3 days, that's for me enough to create a data model. So I can also use this parameter to get only a small bit of the data. So I can So I can create the data model, and if I make a change and I must refresh it, the refresh is very small. So I think there's also benefit if you use the parameters in your big tables. And in the most cases, that's always the fact tables. The dimensions are not always so big, I think. And if it is big, then you can always check for increment refresh. But most times you have only on the fact tables the increment refresh. So if you have created the parameters, we go to again Power Query, and we go to if you see in the query window, we see the range start and the range end parameter. This we see we can what the date is for the start date and the end date. You can also click on that and you can change that. It's always flexible. It's not a date what is never changing. So if you have this, we go to the data model, and there's also in Power Query, we go to the table where we want increment refresh, and we go to the column where the date in is, but it's also date time, just remember that. We click on the filter option, and we see then date time filters, and we go to at the bottom, we see custom filter. We click on that, and this is the filter option. And I zoom in for that. Maybe you can see it better. We use the basic option, dus not the advanced, that's not necessary. And you see also the column name. And we use is after or equal to. And that is for the start for the range period. Normally you see here the icon for the date time, but for now I've click on it and you see the parameter icon. So I have changed that in the visualization. And I choose range start. And the end of the filter option is before. And also choose the parameter icon and use range end. If you have set that up on the right way, then everything is set for increment refresh in Power Query. The next step is go to Power BI. And if you go to Power BI, we select the column of the table where we want increment refresh. You can right click on the table and you click increment refresh, and then the next window is popping up. This is the window what is popping up, and first normally the increment refresh is off. This you set it on, so everything is every selection you can make is in the window. And we start first with a warning. If you upload the PBX file to the cloud where increment refresh is active, then it's not possible to download it back to the Power BI desktop. Dus that is one of the things. It's one of the rules for increment refresh. Dus if you want to make a change, you must always save the PBX, make a change, and publish it again to the Power BI service. If you have another tool, Visual Studio or Tabular Editor, then you can change it in the cloud, and that's always the best option. But if you publish again the PBX, then the increment refresh must refresh again. Dus also your archive period, later about that, but is deleting and you must change that. So the first thing we fill in is the archive period. And the archive period is the day what you first time, if you published the PBX to the cloud, you refresh the archive period, and that is all. He don't touch again the archive period. Dus in this example, we have archive period is 10 days. And you see also, if you see here, the period what we have selected. And I have prepared the slides a long time ago, but you see the dates. You can always check if that is correct. So that is the archive period, and you can choose by days for days, months, quarter of years. Dus that is all. Everything is possible. And the next thing is the increment refresh date, and that is a period we want to refresh every time. So in this example, we have refresh 1 day, and you see also here the periods you want refresh. So you can always check yourself if everything is okay and if the period is what you want. Then we have 3 options, and I show every option in the demo, but a short teaser for it. The first one is get the last dates in real time with direct query. Dus that is the current day in the most times. That is refreshing with a direct query. But be careful, you need premium only for that. Dus premium per user or premium capacity. Dus that is what you need. Then the second option is only refresh complete days. And I think this is one of my favorite. I don't want to refresh parts of a day. I will always complete days. But sometimes it's necessary to get more times on the day refreshed the data. But in the most cases, I try always only refresh the complete days. And the last one is detect data changes. Dus is there a change on your data, then he check that, and that is refreshing with increment refresh. But what I say, I show you that later in the demo. If you go to the next slide, the increment refresh. Yeah.
Sorry, just a very quick one, Peter. Would you mind being able to move your Teams notification? It's right in the middle of the screen.
Oh yes.
And just a quick one on where you did the where you had the pop-up. Was that on desktop or in the service?
Yeah. The pop-up is desktop. Dus everything what I have done on this moment is in the desktop version.
Yeah.
Is the message wet van Teams?
Yeah, so there's just a tiny little green, you know, when it comes up and it says you've got Teams working, it's just right in the middle of your screen. So it's a little green.
I don't see that. Is it away now or not?
Yeah, no, it's still there. It's just a tiny little green notification about Teams.
Give me 1
I don't think I can move it.
Have everybody see that or not?
Yeah. They've popped a question. They've shown it in the chat for you, so you can see.
Yeah, for the webcam.
Yeah.
So
perfect.
It's better.
Much better. And you're doing brilliantly. Absolutely brilliantly. Okay. So sorry to interrupt.
No problem. No problem.
Thank you. I'll let you carry on.
Perfect. This the increment refresh is a period, and it's a sliding window. Dus if you have, for example, months, if the month is complete, then he deletes the first month in that period, and so you always lost, and you see that in the picture here in the bottom. He removed the data, dus you only want the refresh period. So let's start with the demo. I think that's a lot better. I've created some dashboards, and if I create this dashboard for the company where I work, I hope they fire me. Want it's not very nice, but for the demo, it's enough. So let's go to.
It's funny.
Why? First, the source of your source for your increment refresh always is an SQL environment or where query folding is happen. And why? If we go to the Power Query option and we go to filtering rows, and I show you the native query, you see you need query folding. The normal query is this one, and he collapse of the where function is on the query. Dus you need always query folding. Dus beware of that. If you have an Excel or something else, it don't work. But refreshing, let's try. I have only refreshed the complete days on this moment. I have refreshed the table, and you see, let me show you in the report. I go to the options, increment refresh. This was the for the example. Dus 10 days is the archive period, and 1 day is the increment refresh. Dus total we have 11 days. And if you go to the report, you see we count 11 days. The first date is on the 12th, and the last one is yesterday. Want we refresh complete days. Dus today is not complete on this moment. Dus so this is the easy way to set up an increment refresh. It's not fussy. It's very easy to do. Dus don't stay a long bit. We go to data changes, and I have set up another way. You see, I have the archive period is 1 month, so that is changing, and the increment refresh period is 10 days. And I have think the data changes. So if we go to the report, and we go to the changes, see here the report, we see it's a longer period. And if I use my SQL environment, and I go to the data change, you see everything, the value is 10, and you see the update date. And why say I that? It's necessary if you have changed dates, and I show you that also here. I will forget to show that. On the bottom, you see it's necessary to have a column with an update date. Dus, and that's not the same if the key column in your table with the date, but you have always, it is necessary to have a column where you see what is the last date I have update. Want that is what increment refresh is checking. Dus what is the last date, and everything what is later, he refreshed that again. Dus if I go to my SQL environment, and let me change that to 20. Execute. Let's validate myself. You see the data has changed. We see, sorry. Yeah, we see 3 times 20, the value is 20, and we see also the update date is changing. Let's show what happened in the report. It's necessary to refresh the data model. Dus he is refreshing. Why? Sometimes it takes some time, but no problem, want we have increment refresh on, dus it is a lot smaller than normal. If we go to the changes and we refresh the oh, he's all changing. You see the value is 20, and we see he refresh not only the current day, but also in the past. And we have fill in increment refresh for the last 10 days. And he checked only the last 10 days, and he checked only the update date. Dus the increment refresh is also smaller than if you refreshed the whole 10 days. Dus it's an increment refresh on increment refresh, you can say. And it's a bit smaller, and it works a lot faster. Dus that is very nice. Some people say, yeah, but I thought it's not only the increment period, but the whole period, dus also the archive period, but he don't touch the archive period, dus he don't check the update dates in that column. but it's possible. I show you that on later in this session to check everything, but then you can ask yourself, yeah, if you have increment refresh for all the table, yeah, is that the right way to work? But it's possible. So we have also the report with direct query, and you see here the report, and this one thing what is a little bit tricky, and that is I show you that in the Power BI environment. On this moment, I have choose for the archive period from 2 months, and the increment refresh is 1 day. Want I have select get the latest date in real time. This the current day today is always a direct query, but you know, a direct query is always slower than an import. Dus if you refresh the page, it's take a little bit time to show the direct query of the result of the direct query. And you see also he marked only refresh complete days, and that is the reason. And the reason for that is increment refresh is 1 day. We have filled that here in. If I fill here 10 days, then you refresh the last 10 days, but only the complete days, not the current day. So you know the drill. I go to my online environment. I fear the direct query. You see on the bottom the value is 10, but let's change that to 50. Execute. I validate myself. I must first use refresh, and you see it's changing to 50. Let's look in the report. We go to the direct query report, and it is not necessary to refresh your data model, want the data model is refreshing for the increment period. Dus, and if we want to change for today, you need to refresh only the report. Dus you can click on this button, you refresh, and you see it's changing to 50. It's necessary to refresh your report, but how many times you want refresh? There is an add-on in your browser. You can download that, and you refresh every minute, every 5 minutes, what you want. Dus then it's work completely automatic. And I think you heard also a lot, yeah, is it real time? No, I think this is not real time, want we have always a delay from 15 seconds or 1 minute or what you have refreshed your report, but it is nearly real time. If they ask me what is real time, if I go to a manufacturer or a shop and they and I sell a product or I buy a product and they scan it, then I see in my report +1. That's real time for me, and that is nearly real time. And I only use this in shops or manufacturing where it is necessary to see what is the changing in what I have buy, sold, or create in my factory. So that is for now the slides of the demo. And I say also, if you have the archive period, it's you can not refresh it on the normally way. If you click on refresh, you refresh only the increment period. The archive period, you don't touch that. If it is necessary to refresh the last period in the archive table, there's no problem. You can do with 2 or more options, but I handled 2 in this session. We start with SQL Management Studio, and you can connect with the data model. For the people they don't use that normally, you need a premium, and you go to the workspaces, you go to workspace settings and you see here license information. And you have here the connection link. Dus that is what you use, and you can put that in SQL Management Studio. And you do that in the Analyze surface. Dus if you click on Analyze surface, you see here you can put the link in. And if you make a connection, I have done that earlier, but then you have a connection with your data model. And if we want to refresh and petition, if we click on right click on the table what you want, and you click on petition. Also, that is mentioned in the slides. I sent it to you. This, you see the window with partitions, and you see different things. First, you see the petition name, and let me zoom in. And you see the first petition, that's not what I want. Yes. The first petition name you see is 2024, the year, and it's Q2, and the month is 6. And there's an automatic reason why that is happening. Every time if a month is ready, this complete, then he combine every day to a month. Dus he creates 1 month. If you have 3 months in your archive period, he combine it to a quarter. And if you have 4 quarters, I think you know what I want to say, he create 1 year for that. So that is how the petitioning working in the background. And you see also here the rows. Now, I take every time the wrong. You see also, now this was the quarter name. You see also the rows in the petition, and then you can always check how many rows we have loaded in the table, and is that also in my data warehouse. You can always check if the rows are complete. And you see here, so here the last process time. So you can also see when is the petition processed. So that's very nice to see, I think. And if we want to refresh a period, we can click on a petition and we click on the process button. And if you click on that, we can we have 1 selected, but we can select more if we want. And we can click on OK, but you also see the mode, and that is the process. And we see default. Default is he check everything, and if I think something must recalculate, he recalculate that. But I always want it for sure. This I always use process full. Then I know every table where he must calculate, he is calculating the columns. Dus that is for me very important. It's also possible to process only the data. If you do that, then you need also a recalculation for the whole table. And you can also use process clear. Then the data on your petition is deleted, and you can refresh the petition if it is necessary. Then also you can use process add, that's creating another petition. But for now, I use process full. And one of the things I don't like about using SQL Management Studio is you're starting the processing, but you don't see how long it takes, but you see nothing changing. You see only the spinning for the remaining. And if the process is ready, then you see it's success, but that is everything. Dus let's show you later another tool that you can see the row is counting. Dus you see it's working correct. If you click on the details, you only see the script, and the is in the wrong window, but this is the script what is using for the refresh. This not very spectacular. You see it's success, and you see this 1 row transform. But what I say, I'm not happy with SQL Management Studio. Dus normally I use Tabular Editor. And I know there's a big fan in the audience. So you have also next Thursday a session about it.
I do like Tabular Editor.
Yeah.
It's brilliant. We've got a couple of questions when you're ready, but yeah, just when you're at a point. But yeah, I'll let you decide when to handle them.
Okay, let me show Tabular Editor,
Tabular
and then
Editor.
for the questions. I use Tabular Editor 3, but it is also possible with Tabular Editor 2. We make connection with the data model, and it is the right one. I'll sign in.
Just while it signs in, I'm using the endpoint more and more often, and it's just so much quicker, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a lot quicker, and yeah, I'm so happy with the tool, and it's very easy to change things in your model. And normally you must create you use PBX and upload it again, and yeah, the changing for that is very handy.
Scary sometimes.
Yeah, yeah, sometimes. So let me show you how you can refresh the petitions. Select the table. You see here the tables, and you go to the petitions. And if you want to refresh a petition, you go right click on it, and you see refresh. And yeah, I click full refresh, and we go to the tab with refresh, and yeah, it's very fast. This the refresh is done, but normally if you have a lot of rows, and that's not the case in this, we see one row, but if you have a lot of rows, you see the rows counting, and you see it's working, and it's not a black box like SQL Management Studio. Dus I like that very much. But Tabular Editor have more advanced things. And if you want to make a change about your increment refresh, that's no problem. You go to, you click on the table, and in this properties window, you see a refresh policy. And you zoom in. At first, you have a little bit a summary. Dus for this table, make it very easy for my, not very easy for myself, but it's a summary, and you see 1 month rolling and 10 days incremental. So you see how the increment refresh is set up. Then you can change also here the granularity of the period. Dus in this case, it's a day, but if you want a month, quarter, or year, it's no problem. You can change that. And also the increment periods you can change, and that's the 10 days. You see increment period offset on a null or a 0, but if you have -1, that is the option download complete days. If you have -10, then he refreshed 10 days ago the whole day. Dus you can also play with it. Then the modus, in that case, is import. That's always what you need for increment refresh. It is not possible to have the direct query modus. Only the mixed setup is if you use direct query for the current day. But it's not possible if you have the data model on the direct query modus to set up increment refresh. Then the polling expression, I skipped that for later. And you see here, so the rolling window granularity, and that is the archive period. And for this is set up in 1 month. So you see here the month, and also here you can choose for day, month, quarter, and year, and your rolling window period. So I say I skipped this. Why? I think this is a very nice option. I show you that here, then I can zoom in. So you see that is the M query, what Incremental Refresh use for get the latest updates for the changes. Dus he select the max date, And if you have the max date, he use everything what is newer on the date model to refresh. Dus you can always play with it and set up how you want this. So I think for now it's not in the scope for the presentation, but maybe on a later presentation I can show you that. Then you can tweak it. And also the last one is the source, and you can also use it on this way. You see this is how we create the M query. This how the setup is with the databases. And you see here the filtering. I think this is a big advance, and why? If you have a lot of tables, you can change it in your PBX file, but you must make different steps. If you have used this, you can, with Table Editor, you can create more increment refresh on a faster way. Dus you can use that, I think, better in increment refresh. I hope. So what are the questions, Sue?
There's quite a few chit chats going on in the chat, but that was brilliant because I hadn't seen the refresh policy within Tabular Editor, so I was like, oh my goodness, you've got a polling expression and a rolling window granularity, and it just makes it so much easier to see and to understand. So a huge thank you for that. Are you ready for the questions, Peter?
Yeah, I hope.
There's been lots of chit chat. So I'll start at the bottom as I scroll up. Yeah. So you have one of your old co-workers here. So Steesborsma. I've probably pronounced it terribly wrong. So question is, if you set up incremental refresh for 2 years, it's in the chat if you can read it better. Just for research sake, what is the impact exactly on processing time? They understand the impact on data usage, but there also has to be checks to see if the lines are refreshed for the whole period, right?
Yeah, that is always necessary, and I use in the most time a report creating with the rows, dus the counting of the rows, and also the counting in the data warehouse. Dus I combine that together, and if that is the same, then it's okay. Let me read it again. Yeah, and the exactly impact time, I don't know that, but it's necessary. How is your performance of your data warehouse? How is it work you in the cloud or not? But I see sometimes refreshing on one table, it's normally take 1 hour, and sometimes if I set increment refresh on, I think 5 minutes and it is refreshing. This that isn't quite better what you want for increment refresh, but yeah, it depends about your data warehouse.
Brilliant, thank you. And there's another question about if you have a data pump. So obviously, if you're incrementally refreshing data and it's not storing your archive, and you have a data pump that will come through and take away your archive data, if you change something, it's just the consideration. It's obviously not stored in the model.
Yeah, if you change the data or your data, if there are new columns, or you must always refresh all the partitions in your archive period. Dus you must change that. Also, if you you see that in data change, if you have here update table schema, then you always must refresh it again. Want if then change in the schema, then the data is not in your archive period.
And then Jake said you can refresh with a REST API to do an enhanced refresh, but like you said, it needs to be full on the table or the partition to make sure you refresh each of the partitions. And Julie said if she's got a data model which includes a couple of high cardinality, very wordy columns in a dimension table. So, the question was, does it make sense to incrementally refresh those tables too?
Yeah, sure. It's making a lot of difference with that. Yeah, every big table you have in your data model, let me say it on that way, it's needs increment refresh.
Brilliant. As long as you've got the query folding capabilities.
Yeah, that is, yeah, you need that, yeah.
Yeah, I was very excited about that, and then I realized I needed query folding, and my data source didn't that I wanted it for. But and UV, and there's been some chats about this in the chat, and said, can we have a combination of import and incremental refresh only for certain tables where the business gets to trigger it from within the report? So I'm presuming there, so he said she said, for example, refresh only the latest day, month for a given fact table when a user clicks a button present on a report. So if a business modifies a demand or supply parameter and then wants to evaluate how it affects their forecasting. I don't know if that would be incremental refresh or not.
I think also not.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I think not.
And so Jake's come back with, why not use hybrid tables and then have a direct query for the last days that they're particularly interested in?
Yeah, that's also possible, but yeah, in this way we use the refreshing on the data model. It's a choice.
Yeah, I think it's there are so many different things to consider that it can become quite complex. I saw a fabulous presentation by Alex Whittle, Purple Frog, that went through all the many different ways that you can bring data in, and the advantages and disadvantages of them all. I'll have to find that link. So yeah, Purple Frog, Alex Whittle, about different data types. And then Jake mentioned about Tablet Editor and SSMS, both using the same C# library to interact via XMLA. So that's a bit more technical for me, Jake. I'm just getting my head around C#.
It's a different cup of tea, C#.
Yes. See, look at your English cup of tea. Different cup of tea. Yeah, we're doing well here. And then Anthony's posted something from Shabnam Watson about how direct query partitions of a hybrid table in Power BI gets used, which is very nice because Shabnam's coming on in a couple of weeks and she is absolutely brilliant. I revised for the DP600 using a lot of Shabnam's material. She's, outstandingly good. And let me just check I haven't missed anything. Oh, question from Julie. Jake said polling expressions are a great look to avoid unnecessary. I don't know what polling expressions are. I'd never seen it before, polling expression. I'd seen the rolling window granularity.
I also.
So you've got it in the tablet editor where you've got the polling expression there. The max update is yeah.
This what I say. Yeah, there's the polling expression is where you can change your if you know the M language, you can change the query. And that I read an article from Tablet Editor where someone changed this on a special way, so he gets other benefits about it. But for now, it's what I say, not in the scope, but it's very interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've always too little time to play with things. What I want.
Yeah, I want to do. I do a basic tablet editor, but I want to go and do a more advanced one. Question from Julie: if you're using a layered set of data flows, e.g., staging and transformation, that feed a semantic model, how do you then manage the incremental refresh amongst all of the artifacts?
I think every source you must see that on a separate way, and if you want and check for the benefits, I think that's the best way to check it out.
Yeah. I mean, because it's the data coming in, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, it's the data coming in. So whichever layer of transformation it's going to do, it's going to pop, because even though, I suppose data flows is different because where it lands.
Yeah, data flow is different, but you can use incremental refresh on the data flows.
Yeah.
But you must set up it separated.
Yeah.
It's work not on the same way.
Yeah.
It's a little bit different.
Yeah. And you'd need to be aware of it, especially if you're doing merge queries or anything like that, if you're pulling it in, that you're actually, comparing apples with apples, so to speak.
Yeah, and not different time zones and everything.
Yeah.
Be careful with that.
Yeah. And Jake said Tabular Editor allows you to add any M expression rather than limited option in the desktop. Ooh, Jake, that sounds very interesting. And lots of use cases getting data from Excel. Yeah, won't work on Excel exports, Christian, because it's not query folding. Yeah.
No, that is always need. You need always query folding for that. Sometimes it's not very nice, but sorry, Christian.
Yeah, I know. I put all of my Excel exports into a data flow, and then was very excited about the data marts, being able to set up but that seems to have gone quite quiet, data marts. And Jake said you can have hybrid and incremental refresh, and automate can just brilliant, Jake. So Power Automate can hit just the last partition if you know what it would be called, if just incremental refresh. And good work from Elena and Janika. And I probably pronounced it wrong, so I apologize if I have. Hi, Donald. What was the site you mentioned? Which one was that, Winston? Was it Alex Whittle, Purple Frog? I'll see if I can find it for you. He did an I saw him at Data Scotland, and he did no, sorry, I didn't. Data Scotland's coming up. I saw him at Data Cayley in Dublin, and he did a brilliant presentation. I'll see if I can find it in a minute.
Yeah, I see a link about it.
Someone's put it in. Yeah.
Yuffie. I hope I announced it great.
Yeah, brilliant. Yes, this was it. Alex Whittle's Purple Frog. He was brilliant, absolutely brilliant. And Chris Webb article on polling. Hi, Aurora. And bye, Aurora. Hi, Aurora. Bye, Aurora. So that was brilliant. Any last questions for Peter before we say thank you very much and let him off the hook for having to pronounce his English? You've done brilliantly, Peter.
Thank you.
Absolutely brilliantly.
And
also SQL bits. Yes, thank you, Fernando. Power BI incremental refresh made simple. Brilliant.
And if someone have questions,
any questions for?
Yeah, but maybe later. These are my contacts. So if you have questions, you can mail me, email me, or LinkedIn. It's fine.
Yes. That was brilliant. Well, you've taught me something new. I hadn't thought about incremental refresh in Tabulator, so I need to finish the course, and Jake, I need to finish my Tabular course as well. So, no problem, UV. I hope you got your questions answered. So I'll stop recording now. Record and try stop recording. So I've stopped recording. So if anyone wants to come on.